Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hope you all are well. This is some crazy commentary that I'm about to discuss with you all today pertaining to an African-American man who had a meeting with a social worker pertaining to his daughter, and he decided to do the worst thing imaginable on a live stream. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Let's hear the commentary. Wow.
Disturbing. It shows the exact. It's all because of what happened in this Facebook video that Johnson posted live on Tuesday. According to court records, the Valley dad wanted to document the sit-down meeting he was having with a caseworker from Arizona's Department of Child Safety to talk about his daughter. The meeting, which took place in the lobby of this DCS office in Mesa, lasted about an hour. You can see the two men get up, fist bump, then the caseworker walks away. A split second later, Johnson appears to grab the state employee and put him in a chokehold. He doesn't appear to be moving. Eventually, you hear people in the lobby. The victim is left lying on the ground, and the attacker takes off.
Child welfare is very difficult work.
DCS Deputy Director David Lujan says the video shows how dangerous caseworkers' jobs can be.
It's very difficult to watch. It is, I think what was really telling about that video is that the caseworker and him had a, more than an hour-long conversation where they're talking calmly. Things seem to be going okay. They sort of fist bump to say goodbye, and then just out of the blue, this happens.
Mesa police tell us Johnson was arrested about 3 hours later in Scottsdale after not pulling over for a traffic stop. The victim was rushed to a nearby hospital where he reportedly told police that Johnson threatened to kill him last week, but he was able to calm the angry dad down. The incident raises new concerns about the safety of DCS staff members when they meet with parents and other family members. Earlier this year, DCS stopped providing new concerns. The safety of DCS staff members when they meet with parents and other family members. Earlier this year, DCS stopped providing security guards at DCS. His new concerns about the he told police that Johnson Scottsdale after not pulling over for a traffic stop. The victim was rushed to a nearby hospital where he reportedly told police that Johnson threatened to kill him last week, but he was able to calm the angry dad down. The incident raises new concerns about the safety of DCS staff members when they meet with parents and other family members. Earlier this year, DCS stopped providing security guards at DCS offices around the state due to budget cuts.
They had a responsibility to keep my daughter safe. They had a responsibility to keep the case aides safe.
Florence mom Erin Michael tells us this week's attack brings back memories of when her then foster daughter was kidnapped and her state worker attacked during a visitation several years ago. She says the latest incident shows the need to step up security for caseworkers.
And especially knowing that this father had made threats a week prior to the case aide. That was the same in our case. The birth mom had made threats to the case aide, and they were silenced. No one did anything to make sure that all parties were safe.
Wow.
Now, we're told that DCS does have protocols in place to protect caseworkers, everything from having emergency alerts on their phones to being able to request a partner when they perceive a possible threat. The agency is planning to request more funding for safety during the next legislative session. As for the caseworker, we're told his injuries were life-threatening, but thankfully he is out of the hospital and home recovering. Back to you guys. Yeah,
Oh, hold on. They said something else.
I want to first off warn everyone that this video is extremely disturbing. It shows the exact moment a quiet meeting to address some family issues suddenly turns violent. 32-year-old DeAndre Johnson is facing an assortment of charges: attempted murder, aggravated assault.
Okay, there we go. Where do I begin? State worker met with DeAndre a week beforehand, before this incident, where he threatened him then, but he was able to calm DeAndre down. See, this what doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to meet with him again? I don't understand. Somebody threatened your life, don't know what he said to him. Probably doesn't matter at this point now, does it? Why would you want to meet with him, sir? You are lucky to be alive. And some people are going to look at you and wonder what the hell's wrong with you. The man threatened you. Did he curse at you? Did he push, shove? What did he say exactly? Because this incident here is bad, really bad. Open forum where they're sitting. Anybody can see. People going in and out of doors. And DeAndre obviously did not care. So we have to ask ourselves, did DeAndre deliberately go to this meeting to unalive the state worker? Did he plan this in his head? If so, how long had he been planning it? The fact that he threatened the man a week before the incident is an indicator. It's been on his mind. Naturally, he had time to think about his actions. What's interesting is that they stand up and you hear one of them say, sounds like a plan. I guess it's the DC worker, the DCS worker says, sounds like a plan. So as he's getting ready to walk off, DeAndre grabs him around the neck and starts choking him. And while he's looking into the camera with the man down, facing the camera, he says to him, you messed up or whatever when you took my daughter in that room. What did he mean by that? What is the issue at hand between DeAndre and the daughter? What has he been accused of doing to the child? Because obviously it's something. She has said something, and that him wording that is scary as hell. When you took her into that room. So basically he was telling the worker, you were doomed when you took her in that room. So what, does he think that they coerced her to say something, bring forth an allegation against him? What is the allegation? What has he done to his child? No, so many questions to ask. I don't even know where to start. How many children does he have? Number one, how many children does DeAndre have? Did he have custody of this child? Or was he seeing her, picking her up, split custody, joint custody, or just visiting her dad? Does he pay child support? What happened? Because something terrible must have happened. But the way the worker is talking, standing on this camera, it sounded like, he was going to be, I don't know, still being able to what? See the child? I don't know. Because it's open-ended when you say, sounds like a plan. So what was the plan? Was there a plan in motion? Something they wanted him to do, protocol for him to follow, Mr. Johnson. He has been accused of 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of unlawful flight. That's him not stopping when officers were trying to pull him over, and naturally it's because of this incident. That's why they were trying to pull him over, I'm assuming. He's a 32-year-old black man. Is he married? How many children do he have? Has he been in trouble recently? He has a past criminal record of aggravated assault and drug possession. Is he a user? When they were sitting there talking, what are you doing? What are the allegations against him? It's got to be some type of allegations or something going on. Or is it an issue of custody? Could it be an issue of custody? He had her, didn't have her, wanted her. She didn't want to go with him. What? I don't know. I have no idea what the hell's going on with these people. I just know it's bizarre. Why film it? Did he want verification of what was being said? So that's why he wanted to film it. The worker didn't want to be filmed because he let that be known. You can hear him saying, I don't want to be on camera. So is that what ticked him off? He didn't want to be on camera, but then he just harassed him or threatened him the week before. So obviously he had violence on his mind. He also made a comment about my daughter. My daughter vouched for you. So maybe the daughter told him, hey, he's a great guy. You know, he sounds nice. He treats me well. You know, go ahead and meet with him. What are the damn allegations? What was going on with DeAndre and the state and this daughter? Custody issues, what? Child abuse issues, what? This all seems strange. Once again, why film it? Why choke him? As I said, did he choke him because he walked off? He said he wanted to be heard. You're going to hear that in this article that I'm going to read underneath this video. Did he plan to hurt him? If so, how long had he been planning to hurt this worker? State worker talked to him a week before where he threatened him. And this was told to the officers at the hospital. And doctors say he was lucky to survive the injuries. Wow. Help the queen understand what she's reading, because I don't understand. DCS officers have not had security. Don't have the money to pay anyone. Why not? Everybody knows social work is one of the lowest paying fields. It's probably why a lot of people don't enter in that field, because you don't make anything. And it would be a waste of time going to college to major in social work and pay school loans later for a field that you don't even make enough money to pay the damn loans back. Just saying. We also got information here in this great state of Tennessee that they don't even have anywhere to house the children here. We're going to talk about that at a later date as well. The children are being shipped to other states. So what I'm wondering is, what about those who are in limbo? The parents are trying to fight for them. How's that going to work? You send the child too far off, parent don't have a way to go see the kid. How's that going to work that the child sees the parent? Through Skype? Curious. Previous criminal record. Aggravated assault, drug possession. How long ago were those criminal offenses by DeAndre Terrell Johnson? This man here, 32 years of age, now has numerous accounts against him for choking this state worker at the DCS office. Attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of unlawful flight. Let's read what happened. A man in custody accused of attacking Arizona Department of Child Safety caseworker live streaming it on social media. Mesa authorities, and this is Arizona, say 32-year-old DeAndre Terrell Johnson was arrested for the crime earlier this week. On Monday, Mesa police received multiple 911 calls from witnesses who reported that Johnson was choking another man in the lobby of the Mesa Tower located near Alma School Road and Southern Avenue. The building houses a branch of the DCS. When authorities arrived on the scene, they found the victim lying on the ground with obvious injuries to his face, police say. Witnesses said Johnson choked the victim twice. According to court documents, the victim is a caseworker who was working on a case involving Johnson's daughter. Authorities say Johnson recorded the meeting with the caseworker and live streamed it on Facebook. Investigators described the recording as extremely graphic and clear, stating that Johnson is very identifiable in the live stream. Court documents say the video shows the 2 men discussing the case when the victim started to walk away at the end of the meeting. Suddenly, Johnson wraps his arms around the victim's neck and puts him in a chokehold, telling him, "You're a dead man," multiple times. Investigators say the victim was in the chokehold for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is a picture of the suspect, DeAndre Terrell Johnson, 32 years of age. Mesa investigators say during this time, the victim is seen on camera with his eyes bulging, drooling, and arm muscles tensing. Multiple bystanders told Johnson to let the victim go. Once the victim was unconscious, Johnson let him go and dropped him face down on the towel. Johnson reportedly stands over the caseworker until he begins to move slightly. He then says, "You still breathing?" And he's still breathing. And I didn't make my expletive point. Court documents say Johnson then wrapped his arm around the victim's neck again as bystanders yelled at him to let the man go. So what did he mean by that? I didn't make my point. Is it because the man was still breathing? So basically, you're willing to catch a murder charge in a public place with eyewitnesses for whatever's going on with you, the state, and your daughter. So how would you be able to resolve your issues with the state if you're locked up in penitentiary? Obviously, he didn't care. One bystander told Johnson, "You made your point," to which he responded, "No, I didn't," before bending over the victim. He then stood up, turned off the live stream, and left. DCS Deputy Director David Luan said the video shows how dangerous caseworkers' jobs can be. "It's very difficult to watch," says Luan. "I think what was really telling about the video is that the caseworker had more than an hour-long conversation where they are talking calmly. Things seem to be going okay. They first bump a fist bump to say goodbye, and then just out of the blue, this happens." Authorities tracked Johnson's vehicle to Scottsdale near McDowell and Scottsdale Roads and pulled him over. However, Johnson refused to stop and sped away from police. Mesa detectives attempted to use a grappler on Johnson's vehicle, but he continued driving and broke the grappler net. Officers attempted multiple pit maneuvers and eventually took Johnson into custody. Authorities interviewed the victim, who said he spoke with Johnson a week prior about his daughter. In that conversation, he allegedly told the caseworker, "I came here to kill you. You're lucky my daughter vouched for you." In that instance, the caseworker was able to calm Johnson down. So this is why that makes no sense. Why would you meet with this man after he said that a week before? On the day of the attack, the two men agreed to meet to discuss the services available to Johnson. Court documents say the victim felt he was being aggressive and tried to calm him down. However, when Johnson grabbed and choked him, the victim said, "He just wants to kill me." The victim said there was no other reason for Johnson's behavior. Investigators spoke to the victim's doctor, who said his injuries were absolutely serious. He almost died, court paperwork states. The injured caseworker is out of the hospital and back home recovering. Johnson was booked on one count of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of unlawful flight. He has been arrested before for aggravated assault, drug possession. The incident raises new concerns about the safety of DCS staff members when they meet with parents and other family members. Earlier this year, DCS stopped providing security guards at DCS offices around the state due to budget cuts. Luan said that DCS has protocols to protect caseworkers, everything from having emergency alerts on their phones to requesting a partner when they perceive a possible threat. Well, that's not going to make a damn difference. You don't have security, so that won't mean nothing. The agency plans to request more safety funding during the next legislative session. Oh, and I bet you that's a red state, Arizona. How about that? Yeah, I threw that in there. Here is our suspect. I'm trying to figure out, how do you all have a safety protocol on hand? If a person came with a weapon, what is a phone going to do? What is a cell phone going to do? Absolutely nothing. Bringing somebody else because you fear for your safety with this client, that still doesn't mean anything. You all want to make excuses for people's lives. If a person doesn't feel safe with a child's parent, that means they don't need to meet with them. Point blank. They need to have a virtual meeting. And really, that's contradictory too, because if you feel threatened, that's also a sign that they don't need to be having the child with them. If they can pop off, get angry, and I get it, we all get upset. Especially when you're dealing with your children, you feel like you're being unjustly accused of something, or you're dealing with custody issues, or whatever the allegations are, or the issues. It's easy to get out of character. And this man already has a previous assault. Don't know what that was about, who it was, man, woman, child. What happened? Did he go to jail, pay a fine? What happened there? See, I don't know. And they didn't say he had continuously been in trouble with the law. If those are the only two charges he has, because there are many people who have a lot more charges than that. Not saying those are great charges to have, but just saying. But meeting with a person with no safety protocol, except for an alert on your phone, as this man was being choked, you think he had time to sit there and push a button on his phone? Of course not, because he was startled, grabbed from behind. He didn't see it coming. He walked off. So he doesn't have time to push a button on his phone, type in something. He was startled. So there is no safety protocol, state of Arizona. There is no protocol. And by the grace of God, this man survived. Can you imagine what he was thinking while down there on the floor being choked to his knees or however it worked? Lord have mercy, I'm going to die right here in a public place all over a kid. That's a lot to digest. And they talk about suffocation, choking, strangulation. Only takes a few minutes to become deceased. And I'm sure those are the longest 3-4 minutes of a person's life, being choked, suffocated. Your airways being cut off. And you're sitting there wondering, why is this person doing this to me? What have I done to this person for them to want to unalive me? So now we got to ask ourselves the obvious questions. How long has this debacle been going on with DeAndre and the state of Arizona? What are the allegations? What are the issues? How long has he been talking to the state about his daughter? Where did the daughter live before he started meeting with these people? How long has he been meeting with this social worker? Has he had the same social worker? See, there are 1,000 questions you can ask. Did he feel like he wasn't being heard when he had this meeting? Did he not like the plan that was put into motion, the safety plan? What was the plan? See, we don't even know why he's meeting with these people. If it's allegations of abuse, neglect, custody issues, we don't know. Where's the child's mother? Now what's going to happen? Absolutely nothing. He's going to go stand trial for attempted murder, and he doesn't ever have to worry about seeing the child again, or whatever issues he had with the state. It's null and void now. And that's where he fucked up. And I get it. Sometimes they can get it wrong. People can lie on you, make up things about you, say you're doing this and this to your children. I'm praying it's not nothing about SA, because I don't think there'd be anything to talk about if it was sexual assault. There wouldn't be a safety plan, because the state would not allow anybody to go back around a child if the parent was sexually assaulting a child. So maybe it was a custody issue. I don't really know. Maybe the child was removed from his custody. They're not saying. And in this type of instance, they're not going to say, because we're dealing with children. All I know is whatever the issues were, it didn't have to end like this, because he could have killed this man. And then that man now's got to go to court and face him, and he'll probably be scared to death to go testify for the fear that he'll jump up and run up on the damn witness box, like that crazy nut did out in Las Vegas, attacking the judge. So you don't know what people will do. But in this instance, he did know. So in this instance, nobody can sit here and play dumb like, oh, we didn't know, we didn't see it coming. You have this director or whomever speaking like, oh, just out of the blue. This is not out of the blue. He threatened to kill the man a week before. What are you missing from the conversation? Why would you meet with somebody that just tried to a week before? They said it to you verbally, and then the next week they tried to kill you. Help me understand. And what did Maya Angelou once say? When they show you who they are, believe them. So if a person is threatening you, why don't you think that they're not telling the truth? I don't like you. I want you dead. I wish you were dead. Okay. So your better half should say, well, I probably shouldn't go around this person anymore after I get out this situation of getting out their peripheral. This is just absolutely crazy. You made your point, says a bystander. He says, no, I didn't, before bending over the victim. He then stood up, turned off the live stream, and left. Imagine the people watching the live stream. For God's sake. What the hell is he doing? He's trying to kill that man on the live stream. Damn, DeAndre, come on, man. What were the people saying on the live stream? How many views did he get? Was there anybody trying to tell him, hey, stop that, don't do that? I can't even imagine watching it in real time. I can't. Court documents say the victim felt he was being aggressive and tried to calm him down. However, when Johnson grabbed and choked him, the victim said, he wants to kill me. The victim said there was no other reason for Johnson's behavior. On the day of the attack, the two men agreed to meet to discuss the services available to Johnson. So I'm going back. Authorities interviewed the victim, who said he spoke with Johnson a week prior about his daughter. In that conversation, he allegedly told the caseworker, I came here to kill you. You're lucky my daughter vouched for you. In that instance, the caseworker was able to calm Johnson down. This is absolutely ridiculous. He has met with this fool. The fool tells him, I can't believe I'm reading this. I came here to kill you. You're lucky my daughter vouched for you. This is ridiculous. So obviously the daughter liked the social worker or had a good rapport with the social worker. And he's telling the damn social worker the week before this incident, my daughter vouched for you. Because I came here to kill you. And yet you still with me with this fool. Did he give a memo pertaining to what was said between he and DeAndre during that meeting before this incident? Did he tell his superiors, hey, Mr. Johnson was very irate. He threatened to kill me, but I was able to calm him down. I'm going to still go ahead and meet him again next week, see how it goes. What was said by his superiors, his supervisor? Because this is ridiculous to me, that you would go ahead and plan another meeting with someone who has threatened to kill you. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Why would you meet with Mr. Johnson after he has threatened to kill you and you had to calm him down during that meeting? Why would you then go meet him a new week later? He's sitting there listening to you. But were you listening to him? What was the meeting about? I'm curious. And the fact that he wanted to film it, you should have been a little bit leery. Why does he want to film this? And you probably was like most people who are green. Oh, it's no big deal. He just wants to, I guess, have verification of what I said so nothing can be misconstrued. Oh, yeah, he wanted to make sure that nothing was going to be misconstrued, all right. Hell, he had a plan to kill your ass on a live stream. Shut your mouth. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. But this goes back to what I always say about people. You don't know people. And even when they show you signs that they're violent or have propensity for violence, you do need to believe them, because there's going to be a time when you're not going to be able to talk him or her down. You're not going to be able to beg for your life. You're not going to be able to plead for your life. You're not going to be able to run. This man is very lucky. They say he was choked 2 times by Mr. DeAndre Johnson. He is lucky to be alive. The doctor said so. Now, I don't know if he's going to have any other type of damage from this brief airway being cut off, because you know your brain loses oxygen when you're being suffocated, choked. And will he go back to work? That's the number one question now. Will he file a suit against his boss for not having appropriate security? Because let's be truthful. Even if there's a security guard out in the main lobby where people go in to check in, at these DCS offices. When you go in a room by yourself to speak to a supervisor, social worker, there's not going to be any security in the room. More than likely, it's just going to be the social worker and the parent and the child, or just the two adults or family members. So if somebody decides to do just what Mr. DeAndre did, somebody's got to what? Get up and go tell? So if it's two people that are related to each other, you want me to believe that one's going to go tell? I got to go get help. My brother, sister, cousin's choking this social worker out. Maybe not. Do they have cameras in their meeting rooms? Probably not. I'm sure every office is made different. And I'm sure more rural the area, less security, less cameras. So I'm going to say this to all state offices, from here to Utah to New York. You all are going to have to do better than this. Because this is, and how horrible would it have been for him to die in an open meeting space where people were walking in and out and people yelling, "Stop that." Like you're talking to a toddler. Put that down. Now you stop that. You're supposed to be screaming, "What the hell are you doing over there? Take your hands off that man." That's what you're supposed to be saying. You're supposed to be yelling. Put fear in him. But obviously he didn't have any fear. He didn't care that there were witnesses. He knew there were witnesses. He knew there were witnesses on his cell phone. That's why he did it. That's why he filmed it. And more than likely, he went directly to that meeting, unalive this social worker. How's the social worker doing? How's his mental state? Will he continue to work for the agency? Will he go back to work? Will he find another job? Will he file for unemployment? And also, will he sue the state of Arizona for not having a safety plan in motion to guard his safety? Because this is a terrible, terrible story. And yes, it would have been worse had the man died, but this is probably going to cause a lot of fear in this man. He'll probably get PTSD from this incident if you don't already got it. And he'll probably be looking over his shoulder thinking, "Lord, I hope nobody else decides to jump out the woodworks trying to find me because of this dodo bird. Somebody else want to finish me off." Who's to say that's not what he's thinking right now? And another thing I'm going to say before I check out of here, and I commented under the video on YouTube. I said, imagine had DeAndre waited on him outside. Anybody listening? Imagine had DeAndre waited on him to leave work and accosted him at his car, or ran up to him when he walked out the door, had a gun, had a knife, did the same thing, choked him out. Or followed him to the grocery store, his house, and unalived him elsewhere. Imagine that. Because if you have it in your mind that you want to unalive a person, there is nothing that's going to keep you from doing so, as you saw this on this live stream. DeAndre had a plan. No matter what was said by that state worker the week before, no matter what was said during that meeting, the next week, he did not care. He had death on his mind, and this social worker was to prey. And now he's going to go to court and face numerous charges. First-degree attempted murder of a state worker, when all he had to do was just tell the man, "Hey, I disagree with what you're saying, what you're doing. I'd like an appeal. I'd like a supervisor." Whatever he was in disagreement, you do have rights when you are going to court pertaining to your children. They also appoint you an attorney, from my understanding. So this is why you have to know your rights when you go to court and when you go to family court. And I don't know what was going on between DeAndre and the state of Arizona, but it didn't have to go down like this. And by the grace of God, this state worker is alive because he could have been murdered on this fateful day in this business office. Let's go back in time. Thank you for joining me.
Unlawful flight.
You guys are offering services that might be able to help.
And it's all because of what happened in this Facebook video that Johnson posted live on Tuesday. According to court records, the Valley dad wanted to document the sit-down meeting he was having with a caseworker from Arizona's Department of Child Safety to talk about his daughter. The meeting, which took place in the lobby of this DCS office in Mesa, lasted about an hour.
All right. So we'll be in touch. Sounds like a plan.
You can see the two men get up, fist bump, then the caseworker walks away. A split second later, Johnson appears to grab the state employee and put him in a chokehold.
Damn me. The moment you took my daughter in that room.
More than 2 minutes go by and the caseworker doesn't appear to be moving. Eventually, you hear people in the lobby. The victim is left lying on the ground and the attacker takes off.
Child welfare is very difficult work.
DCS Deputy Director David Lujan said the video shows how dangerous caseworkers' jobs can be.
It's very difficult to watch. It is, I think what was really telling about that video is that the caseworker had a, more than an hour-long conversation where they're talking calmly. Things seem to be going okay. They sort of fist bump to say goodbye, and then just out of the blue, this happens.
Mesa police tell us Johnson was arrested about 3 hours later in Scottsdale after not pulling over for a traffic stop. The victim was rushed to a nearby hospital where he reportedly told police that Johnson threatened to kill him last week, but he was able to calm the angry dad down. The incident raises new concerns about the safety of DCS staff members when they meet with parents and other family members. Earlier this year, DCS stopped providing security guards at DCS offices around the state due to budget cuts.
They had a responsibility to keep my daughter safe. They had a responsibility to keep the case aides safe.
Florence mom Erin Michael tells us this week's attack brings back memories of when her then foster daughter was kidnapped and her state worker attacked during a visitation several years ago. She says the latest incident shows the need to step up security for caseworkers.
And especially knowing that this father had made threats a week prior to the case aide. That was the same in our case. The birth mom had made threats to the case aide and they were silenced. No one did anything to make sure that all parties were safe.
Now, we're told that DCS does have protocols in place to protect caseworkers, everything from having emergency alerts on their phones to being able to request a partner when they perceive a possible threat. The agency is planning to request more funding for safety during the next legislative session. As for the caseworker, we're told his injuries were life-threatening, but thankfully he is out of the hospital and home recovering. Back to you guys.
Back to you guys. DeAndre Terrell Johnson is currently in custody, facing 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of unlawful flight. He's 32 years of age, and he no longer has to worry about his daughter or dealing with the Department of Human Services in the state of Arizona, because he has now sealed his fate by trying to kill one of their workers. This is my commentary. Thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. Also follow me on the Newsbreak app where I give commentary and put posts on that site. Also, I upload videos there. When I also speak on articles on the Newsbreak app, you will get a notification as a follower. Thank you for your support. When I get an update to this commentary, this content rather, I will give you an update. If I don't make it into a short or a video, I will post it to my community page in a said video. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji129 Cash App. Thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful week. The movie of the week is a throwback, Jagged Edge, starring Glenn Close. It's a movie that came out 1985. This entire month, I will be suggesting movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Thank you for your time. You all have a wonderful week. I'll be back here a little bit later with another live stream pertaining to a man who has been deemed fraudulent in trying to fake his own death. He's left behind children and a wife who I'm sure are devastated and trying to figure out why would this man, this husband, father, leave them without just saying he wanted out. That's the next live stream. You all have a wonderful week. You have been listening to the Vault Excel.